football night in America. Served by Applebee's.
And welcome to your Week 9 recap. Maria Taylor alongside Tony Dungy, Jason Garrett, and Mike Florio. And we're going to run down all the storylines that we saw on Sunday, starting with the biggest upset, I would say, of the day. The Jets getting a victory in the Meadowlands against the Bills. Josh Allen throws 2 interceptions, is sacked 5 times. And ultimately, your biggest takeaway is what, Mike Florio, from this game?
Well, I focus more on the Jets because look at what happened last Sunday. The Jets at home lose to the Patriots. Zach Wilson has a couple of truly boneheaded mistakes. He's the pincushion early in the week. There's speculation by Jets fans about whether or not he's the guy. His coach, Robert Saleh, came out and defended him. His GM, Joe Douglas, came out and said he's our guy. He settled down. You could tell he learned from the experience last week, not trying to do too much, understanding he's got a very good defense. He doesn't have to go try to win the game by himself. And that difference and that maturity, you know, we want these young quarterbacks to be fully formed right away. It takes time. It takes reps. It takes lessons learned. And he learned a great lesson last week, and he put it to use this week and held it together just enough for the Jets to beat the Bills.
And I'll look at the Bills side. We saw it 2 weeks ago. It started. They played a great first half against Green Bay, and then the second half, a little bit sloppy run defense, 2 bad interceptions by Josh Allen, and that carried over this week. Bad interceptions and that run defense, especially the last drive.
You know, Coach, we've been talking about the word burden all year long. Why do we like the Philadelphia Eagles? They spread the burden around. They're a really balanced team. And Buffalo's a balanced team, awfully good on offense, awfully good on defense. When they get in trouble, they lose to Miami, they lose to the Jets. It feels like the quarterback has to do everything, and the burden's too big on him. I just think they got to keep trying to spread it around, run the football, make his job a little bit easier. The Jets made his environment hard. He wasn't the same guy in this ball game.
Yeah. It's interesting now, though, if you look at the AFC East, Mike, now we got 4 teams above 500. I mean, it's looking like a tough road, or really just a tough spot to be in if you're either one of those 4 teams looking to come out of the division. Yeah,
everybody alive to win the division. And there are multiple wild card spots that these teams could grab. I'm fascinated by the Dolphins. They were 3-0. Then the Tua Tagovailoa concussion happens on the Thursday night. It sent the team into kind of a tailspin. They lost 3 in a row. They're 3-3. They get Tua back. They turn it on. They win 3 in a row. And they seem to be getting better and better every week. The defense needs a little work after what happened in Chicago today, especially against the run. But the offense is so good. And Mike McDaniel drawing it up, getting different people involved. They got Jeff Wilson, who was on the 49ers a week ago, immediately involved this week. This is a team that can really win the division. I can't believe I'm saying it because I just assumed it was going to be the Bills wire to wire, but they can win the division.
Well, I agree with Mike. Their offense is really good. Defensively, we see some things that they've got to clean up. But now let's see in November, December, and January up north if that offense can function the same way.
The thing that impresses me about the division is the Jets play really good defense. Buffalo plays really good defense. New England plays really good defense. Obviously, Miami is dynamic on offense, but defense travels. Yeah. And you talked about the bad weather. You get into some of these tough games down the stretch. I think some of those defense will stand up, and awfully impressed by the AFC East. Hard to believe at this point they'd all be having as good a record as they've had.
Watch out for New England in December. That defense and how they play, and running the ball is going to be more important as the weather gets colder.
Yeah, the Patriots had 9 sacks against the Colts in Week 9. It was pretty impressive. We also saw a pick 6 in that one. Let's go to the game where we're all watching. We're like, it's going to be fireworks, right? It's the last 2 Super Bowl winning teams. We've got the Rams, we've got the Bucs. Not quite so much, but it did come down to the final drive of the game and ultimately Tom Brady getting a victory over the Rams at home.
Yeah, and, you know, the Bucs, it was a big win for them. I live in Tampa, and all you've heard is negative for the last month. So they did need this. But there were still some things that showed up, still kind of discombobulated on offense. The defense made some plays. They were better, and they needed this win.
Yeah, they're not where they need to be by any stretch of the imagination, but you have to somehow cash in on a couple win opportunities when you're not playing well. That's what the best pitchers do. I don't have my right stuff, but I still win the game. And that's what they did against the Rams. they're lucky because they're playing in the NFC South. It's not a real good division. They haven't been good, and they're on top of that division with a lot of ball to be played. I love the emotion of Brady. And this guy puts a lot into it. You could see it after they won the game, how he's hugging Leftwich, how he was in the press conference afterwards. He just looked like a different guy. Maybe this gets them started.
Yeah. Mike?
The night that they lost to the Ravens, the Thursday night game, Week 8, they had a close-up of Tom Brady late in the game, down 11 points or so. And when you see that face, it's still the same guy. He's got the same resolve. He's got the same determination. He's got the same calm under pressure. He lives for the moments where the game is in his hands. And they're currently 4-5, tied with the Falcons atop the NFC South. Technically, they're in first place because they beat the Falcons earlier this year. They win that division, they're going to be the 4 seed. 2 years ago, they got into the postseason as the 5 seed, and they won it all. And you think about Tom Brady in January, in single elimination setting, which would be game number 48 in the postseason, the first time he plays a playoff game this year. They have the ability, guys, if they can get these issues not completely ironed out, but just a little bit, Brady can do the rest and lift everyone when it's time to play playoff football if they get there. I'd be scared to death of the Buccaneers if I was any of these other playoff teams in the NFC. I would hope like hell that they don't make it to the top of the NFC South.
Yeah, Tom Brady is definitely the tide that raises all boats. So if he starts to get going or gets that confidence, or like you said, we're seeing the body language even changing, you never know what can happen in the postseason. But the flip side of that, Coach Dungy, the Rams sitting at 3-5 this season.
And not playing good football, not running the ball well. They had 7 3-and-outs today, Jason, and that's not what we're used to seeing from a Sean McVay offense.
Yeah, the Sean McVay offense is all about running the football first. That's what it is, and it's play action shots off of that. And they do a great job using different formations and motions to create that, but they're not winning the line of scrimmage at all. They've been a tough team. Sometimes people think they're kind of a gadgety team. They're not. They're an old school, tough zone team. And they come off the ball and they hit you, and everything else comes from that. If you don't have the base, if you don't have the running game, everything else becomes really hard.
Mike, what's your takeaway from what ails the Rams right now?
Just too many changes from last year to this year. Too much time in the offseason spent worrying about what Aaron Donald was going to do. He didn't make a final decision until June when he got his new contract. And when you have so much money devoted to so few players, you really have to hope the rest of the guys can step up. And we haven't seen guys step up in the spots where they need it the most, and now they're just in this funk. And that's the biggest danger for a team that wins a Super Bowl. It's easy to become content. It's easy to not be hungry. You're the team that everyone else is coming after every single week, and we're seeing it play out for the LA Rams. And this really hurts them because to catch the Seahawks, they've got to jump the 49ers, who've already swept the Rams. This is not going to be easy for the Rams to get to the playoffs.
All right, let's kind of stay with the teams that are ailing right now and talk about the Green Bay Packers, who lose to the Detroit Lions on the road. Their 5th straight loss, Mike. How would you assess, baby, what we've been seeing from the Packers over the last 5 games?
Well, a ton of frustration, and Aaron Rodgers was actually asked today whether he regrets playing this year, and he pushed back because what else is he going to say? But this is a team that you take away one great player like Davante Adams, and it feels like the whole thing fell apart. And now they are stuck. They're not far out of it for a wild card berth. The problem is, as a practical matter, there's only one left after the Cowboys and the Giants take the first 2. You're going to have a bunch of potential quality teams that are trying to get one playoff berth, and you can't even call the Packers a quality team right now when you lose 5 in a row.
Yeah, forget all that wild card stuff, Mike. Use Jim Moore's line. Playoffs, the way this team is playing, they better start concentrating on doing some things right, winning games, executing. They're not doing that.
Coach, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, that's all I was thinking. And we're still 2 months out from the playoffs. So all these games have implications. I get that. But they just got to get their team right.
Sure.
Yeah, they're not playing the right way. On offense, a guy who I think has made the playing quarterback look easier than anybody throughout his career. Looks like they can't do anything. They're struggling on the basic fundamental things offensively. And
hey, they've got 2 great backs, and they're
not using them. They're not winning the line of scrimmage, and it looks ugly up there. And somehow they got to get their mind right to say, okay, doesn't matter what's happened up to this point.
Yeah.
Today's a new day and start moving forward.
Okay, let's talk about someone that it's not ugly, it's beautiful, it's pretty. If you're a Vikings fan, Mike Florio, sitting at 7-1, 4.5 games ahead in the division. It's pretty impressive what we've seen so far. Do we believe what we're seeing? Where do they rank in the NFC?
At some point, this ability to pull a rabbit out of their hats late in every game isn't just a fluke. It's amazing how they stay focused, they stay determined. Dalvin Cook, you could see it come over him when the Commanders gave the Vikings an opportunity to tie the game and then take the game. He just kind of transformed into a guy who was going to do everything it took to win that game. And that all flows from Coach Kevin O'Connell. It just can't be a fluke at this point. Something is going on. And as I say that, I know that it's just 1 week away from it all crumbling, like with the Bills coming up, then the Cowboys, then the Patriots on a short week. I keep thinking it's coming, but it doesn't. But a tough stretch in the schedule is definitely coming starting this week.
They have the
with
coolest
the
quarterback
Bills.
in the league right now.
And you know what? We see that picture there. Okay, it was. I can tell you, it was not like that in Minnesota last year. A lot of these players are the same. It was a different atmosphere, and they could feel that from minicamp on. Kevin O'Connell has brought a spirit to that team that is different from what they had.
He sure has. There's nothing like those road wins and you're heading home. And
Best feeling in the world.
It's the greatest thing there is. There's some great shots of Coach Dungy with
all the chains on. He's just going around dancing.
The whole deal. But I agree with Coach. There's an atmosphere there. They have a quiet confidence about themselves. The NFL is all about how you do in one-score games. I mean, 67% of the games are one-score games. How do you play in the fourth quarter? Do you win it? Do you have a calm about you to make the plays and execute? And they've demonstrated that. And I'm not quite as extreme as Florio is. Florio's like, it's all going to come crashing down. You know,
He's a Vikings fan. It's kind of, he's seen some things.
They're just going to
I'm used to it. I've got 50 years of scars on my soul, Coach.
They're going to keep banging away, and I think they're going to be there at the end because I think they have a good foundation on their team. They're a fairly balanced team. Their quarterback's playing awfully well.
Okay, what about the Seahawks? They're sitting at 6-3. Can they win the NFC West, Florio?
Well, I think they can. I think they will because they're getting better every week. They got to worry about the 49ers, but the 49ers, for as good as they seem to be, it seems like injuries always trip them up at some point. The Seahawks find a way to just keep going. Geno Smith, is it possible? This is a question maybe for later in the year. Could he be MVP and comeback player of the year in the same season? He has been incredible. Ken Walker, rookie of the year offensively. He's incredible. The defense is getting it done. And it's just amazing when the schedule came out, Seahawks, Buccaneers, it looked like a cakewalk for the Buccaneers in Germany. Now the Seahawks are going to be the team that's feeling pretty good about their chances when they go across the ocean to play there next week.
When you think about Seattle, when they were really, really good in the Super Bowl, they ran the ball well. They punished you with a big back. They played defense. They made it hard for you to get big plays. That's what they're doing now. And Geno Smith is playing the Russell Wilson role. When they need a big throw or a scramble or something, he's making it happen.
Yeah, they've built the team the right way. And, again, talking about the environment created by the head coach, Geno's been a guy who's been beaten down throughout his career. And he goes out to Seattle, and he's built back up by Pete Carroll. He's given this opportunity. He earned the opportunity, and he's earning it every week with his play. He's playing with a great spirit, leading that team. But, again, they're a balanced team. They're taking pressure off him. He doesn't have to do it all every week. It's been a good formula for those guys.
Yeah, they wrote him off, and he still hasn't written back. 6-3, leading the NFC West. That's all we have for wrapping up Week 9. We will see you Week 10. We've got the Chargers on the road taking on the 49ers, and we've got Football Night in America to get you all started off at 7 Eastern. We hope you join us. Enjoy your week.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.